Hey everyone, I'm Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys, and today we're taking a look at the new Wyze Lock Bolt. Now we did go hands-on with the Wyze Lock a couple years ago. That one is a little bit smaller and features Wi-Fi, but the Wyze Lock Bolt has a fingerprint reader and has no Wi-Fi, it's just Bluetooth. But coming in at $70 or $80 on Amazon, this is a lot more affordable than a lot of the competition and even a lot more affordable than the Wyze Lock. So let's dive in and check it out. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. So obviously I just have the box here because I do have it installed on my door, so I'll kind of be talking about it, but just showing some B-roll of the whole process of installing it and using it as well. One interesting thing about the Wyze Lock Bolt is that there don't seem to be any additional color options. It comes in black and that's it. But otherwise it has a simple and modern design to it. On the outside of the door there is no key slot, so that helps to tidy things up and also means that there's no ability to pick the lock. The keypad is backlit, so the numbers are easier to see at night. And above the keypad, you'll see the little sensor where there is the fingerprint reader, and down near the bottom there is a lock button and an unlock button. So when you're entering your code, just enter it and then push the unlock button to use that. On the inside, the lock is a little bit larger, but still fairly clean overall, and there is a physical lock for the deadbolt. The setup can go very quickly depending on if you already have the holes drilled for your deadbolt. And if you don't, Wyze does include a template that can be used for drilling those holes in your door. For me, I installed it on a door that already had a deadbolt, so it was a pretty quick and easy process. And while there is a physical printed quick start guide that has installation instructions, you can also go through the app and hit add device, and then when you click on the Wyze Lock Bolt, it will actually give you all the installation instructions step by step through there as well, with video examples of how to do the different steps if you do need a little bit of help. And for me personally, there were a couple times where I was curious, where the cable was supposed to route, and so I did reference those video clips just to make sure that I had everything going the right direction. But otherwise, everything is really pretty simple for the setup. You just take off your existing deadbolt, and then you have to install the actual deadbolt into the door. Then you put the outside piece, the keypad assembly on, screw on the mounting plate, and install the interior assembly. Wyze calls it about a 20-minute install, and I would say that's pretty accurate. It would take a little bit longer if you are drilling the holes for the deadbolt though. This kit also does include the strike plate and dust box that you would put not on the door, but kind of into the door jamb where it goes. For me personally, I just used the ones that were already installed on my door, and so I did not install these. And then the final part of the setup is entering your own personal code that you want to use to unlock the door, as well as setting up a fingerprint. And like a lot of other fingerprint smart locks, you kind of just place your finger on the scanner in a series of different directions so it can get a good read of your finger, and then it'll save that, and then you can use it to unlock the door. And then once set, the app allows for changing access settings, which includes creating new users, adding additional fingerprints to existing users, and even setting user-specific access codes. You can also set scheduled access times if you only want people to be able to access the lock at certain times. There's an auto lock mode that can be enabled with different time increments if you want the lock to take care of itself. An auto lock can also be disabled during certain hours if you want to keep it open during the day, for example. Another interesting feature here is the Anti-Peep technology, as they're calling it. And basically, when you enter your code, you can enter any random numbers before and after your code, as long as your code is somewhere in there in the middle. And then you push the unlock button. So you can kind of like mask your code by entering additional buttons before and afterwards, so that if anybody was watching, they wouldn't be 100% sure what your actual code is. So it's another little additional feature that can help keep your code a little bit more secure. So we kind of mentioned it, but one big difference between the Wyze Lock Bolt and the older Wyze Lock that we reviewed is that the Wyze Lock Bolt does not have Wi-Fi built in. So that means that you won't be able to unlock the door remotely. Say, for example, if you are away from home and somebody's trying to get in, you won't be able to physically unlock that door like you could with the Wyze Lock. With the Wyze Lock Bolt, it connects via Bluetooth, so you have to be within a reasonable proximity to connect to it. And then once you are connected, you can unlock it with the app. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind, depending on, how you want to use this lock. If, being able to control it remotely is extremely important, then you might want to go with a different one. And that also means that, as far as I'm aware, you can't set it to work with any rules within the Wyze app. With the Wyze Lock, you could set a rule that when the door is opened, certain lights would turn on. And so without that Wi-Fi connectivity, that is not an option on the Wyze Lock Bolt. But so far from my experience using the Wyze Lock Bolt, it's been pretty seamless and everything has worked really really well. It does occasionally need kind of like a second touch to read my fingerprint, but usually if I'm very intentional with, just getting it directly on there, then it'll read it just fine. And that's one thing, after having used the Lockly Secure Pro for quite a while, that one has the fingerprint reader on the side, and that feels a little more ergonomic than what it does having it on the front near the top like the Wyze Lock Bolt. Not that it's like hard to reach, but it's just a little bit more of an awkward angle. It's a little bit lower, just a little bit more of an awkward angle than be able to push it on the side like the Lockly Secure Pro. But that Lockly does come in at like $250, so quite a bit more expensive than this, so I can't really complain. It does run on 4 AA batteries, which they do have a set included, so you're ready to go right out of the box. And Wyze is claiming battery life is about 12 months. I'll try to report back, after I have to do my first actual battery change and let you know how that goes. Now you might be thinking, since it doesn't have a physical key slot, what if the battery runs out while you're away? What happens then? Well, there is a little indicator that will flash when the battery's getting low, giving you a warning to replace it. If you still aren't able to replace it in time, there is a USB-C port on the bottom. So if the battery is completely drained, you can plug in some power and you can power it on, long enough to enter your code and unlock the door and use it that way. So overall, wrapping up here, if you aren't aware, Wyze has had a few issues with security lately. I'll link to an article over from 9to5Mac down in the description if you want to check that out. But with this not being on Wi-Fi, this feels like something that you don't really have to worry about that much about. With Wyze, you are getting what you pay for. It's very cheap technology, but in my experience, this one is working very well so far. Like I mentioned, maybe I'll do a follow-up when I have to do my first battery change and let you know how my experience has been with it. Because I have it mounted on my garage door and my office is above my garage, this is something I'm going to be using quite frequently to get in here for work. But like I said, overall my experience has been good with it so far. For $70, it is pretty affordable when you look at a lot of the competition. It doesn't have that Wi-Fi feature, but if that's something that you can live without, if you just want a fingerprint reader, which is very handy, it's usually a lot faster than having to enter an actual code. I've grown pretty accustomed to using the fingerprint readers like on the Lockly Secure Pro, so it's nice to have one in a much more affordable option like this. But that'll do it for our hands-on review. Let us know what you think about the Wyze Lock Bolt down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I'll link to the Wyze Lock review as well as our most recent video. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.